guys, it's Morgan, and today I'm going to be talking about episode 6 of season 2 of Scream Queens. Now, if you haven't seen episode 6 of season 2 of Scream Queens and you don't want to be spoiled, stop watching the video now, go watch the episode, and then come back. Or if you don't care about being spoiled, keep watching. So here's my review of episode 6 of season 2 of Scream Queens. Dean Munch tells the Chanels, Zayday, and Nurse Ingrid Hoffel that they need more blood at the hospital, because the blood they do have has just been scooped up from the people who have died, so they can't really use it. Chanel comes up with an idea that they should have a blood drive, and Dean Munch agrees with her. Which is pretty interesting, because I think this is the first time that Dean Munch ever agreed with an idea Chanel had. First time for everything. It's revealed that Nurse Ingrid Hoffel was sisters with Miss Bean from season 1, and she wants revenge on the Chanels for her sister's death. She turns the blood drive into a contest, and the winner gets a trip to Blood Island, which looks nice in the picture, but is actually not such a great place, which is why she wants to send the Chanels there. I'm glad we finally figured out why Nurse Hoffel hates the Chanels so much, because before we found out that she was sisters with Miss Bean, I was just thinking, what did these girls ever do to you? Now we know. Chanel and Dean Munch fight over Dr. Brock Holt, and I thought that scene was really funny, and I thought all the insults they were saying to each other were really funny. Zayday is taking Chanel No. 5's blood when she comes up with an idea to get a sample of Jane's blood so she can match it to everyone who works at the hospital and find out who the baby is. I felt sorry for Chanel No. 5 when Zayday left her in the room alone. Chanel wants to sleep with Dr. Brock Holt, but he tells her that he won't sleep with her until she gets tested for STDs. Then Nurse Ingrid Hoffel comes in and tells Chanel that the police are here to interview her because they got an anonymous call that she was the Green Meanie. And the call was obviously from Nurse Hoffel. It's pretty clear how much Nurse Hoffel hates Chanel when she's willing to call police anonymously and tell them she's the Green Meanie when she isn't. Hester comes to Chanel's bed with a knife and tells her that she's bored, and when she gets bored, she thinks of ways to kill people. Chanel confesses to Dean Munch about hiding Hester and asks if Hester can work at the hospital. After telling Chanel that hiding Hester was a terrible idea, Dean Munch agrees to let Hester work at the hospital, because she knows that if she turns the Chanels in for hiding Hester, questions about where Denise is are bound to come up, and that will affect her. It's pretty clear that Dean Munch would never do something for Chanel or help Chanel in any way unless it affects her in some way. Dean Munch and Hester talk to a patient who says he's a vampire, and the patient notices that Dean Munch seems pretty pale. Hester tells Dean Munch that she can run some tests on her, but Dean Munch tells her it's just because she's tired. She really is working hard to make sure no one finds out about her condition. And I mean, as of now, the only people who know are Zayday, Chamberlain, and Nurse Ingrid Hoffel. The Chanels are talking about the blood drive, and Chanel is taking some blood from Chanel No. 5. And it's very clear that Chanel No. 5 is not liking this at all, which made me feel bad for her. I also thought it was funny when Chanel No. 9 said that she was scared of needles, and Chanel said that doesn't make sense because Chanel No. 9 is goth. Dean Munch tells Chanel and Dr. Brock Holt that Chanel was tested positive for STDs. And she also tells Chanel that because of this, they are removing all the blood she collected so far for the contest, which puts Dean Munch in the lead. And Chanel is definitely not happy about that. I thought it was funny when Nurse Ingrid Hoffel was saying this was unfair for Chanel, and no one called her out on the fact that she doesn't like Chanel, so she shouldn't care if Chanel was being treated unfairly. Zayday goes to Jane to get some blood from her, but Jane tells her that the hospital is evil, and if it was up to her, she would burn it to the ground. Which, I mean, makes sense, since her husband died at that hospital, so you can understand why she hates it. Hester tells the vampire patient that she can help him not want to drink blood anymore by giving him so much blood he ends up hating it, which seems like a pretty good idea. And even though they didn't mention her by name, I thought it was nice that Hester was talking about her Aunt Gigi from season 1. Chanel goes to where she's keeping her packets of blood and finds them gone. She follows the trail of blood to Hester and the vampire patient and finds out that Hester is feeding her packets of blood to the patient, which Chanel is clearly not happy about. Dean Munch tells Hester to find another way to cure the patient. Chamberlain tells Zayday that he knows what she's been up to about trying to match Jane's blood with the staff of the hospital to find out who the baby is. He He also tells Zayday that he has the same idea and tells her that she can take his blood to prove he's not the baby. But Zayday tells him that she doesn't even have Jane's blood yet, and she also says that she doesn't know if she can trust Chamberlain, which made me feel bad for him. Chanel number 5 tells Chanel that she can't give her any more of her blood, which makes Chanel get Chanel number 9 to donate. She straps Chanel number 9 down and takes her blood really quickly, which surprises Chanel number 9 because she was scared of it, and she thanks Chanel, but then Chanel sees Dr. Brock Holt walk by, and she leaves Chanel number 9 alone. And right at this moment, you know, Chanel number 9 is going to die. This is why you should never leave a patient alone in a horror TV show. Dr. Brock Holt tells Chanel that tests don't lie and that she will have to prove to him that the results were fake. I feel bad for Chanel and Dr. Brock Holt. Even though their relationship might not be considered age appropriate, they're still kinda cute. The Green Meanie is about to kill Chanel number 9 when Nurse Ingrid Hoffel walks in. She tells the Green Meanie that she's not here to stop them and tells them to take their mask off. And he does, and it's revealed to be Dr. Cassidy Cascade. She tells him that she will help him, but to leave the Chanels to her. Dr. Cascade asks Nurse Hoffel if she's been the other Green Meanie that's been killing people, and she tells him that she hasn't killed anyone yet. And he tells her that he hadn't killed all the victims, and there's another killer. Hester is looking for blood for her patient when she finds Chamberlain with a box of blood that he was going to dump in the swamp. I thought this scene was really funny when Chamberlain said, "Hey, aren't you Hester who killed people and now you work at the hospital?" And when Hester told him that she was, he just thought it was cool, and he didn't really say anything to the fact that she was a killer and worked at the hospital. But I guess Chamberlain isn't judgmental. He doesn't judge anyone, even if you're a murderer. Chanel goes back to the room where Chanel number 9 is and finds her dead, which obviously causes her to scream, which draws the attention of Dean Munch and Dr. Brock Holt. Dean Munch automatically assumes that Hester killed Chanel number 9, but when they go to confront her, Hester tells them that she got the blood from Chamberlain, and it's Chanel's blood, and she tested it, and it doesn't have any STDs, which makes Chanel realize that Dean Munch made it all up. Nurse Ingrid Hoffel comes into the room and tells Chanel that she won the contest. But when she gives Chanel the plane tickets to Blood Island, Chanel doesn't like the seats and asks Nurse Hoffel to just give her money for another vacation. But Nurse Hoffel tells her that she has to go to Blood Island, and Chanel tells Nurse Hoffel that she'll hear from her lawyer. Even though she's evil, I felt sorry for Nurse Ingrid Hoffel when she told Chanel that she maxed out her credit cards for the trip. Chamberlain tells Zayday that he got the blood from Jane, which proves that Chamberlain isn't the baby. Dr. Cassidy Cascade is seen messing around with blood packets, and then Zayday, Chamberlain, and Dean Munch confront Dr. Brock Holt and tell him that he's their prime suspect. Dr. Holt tells him that they can accuse him of murder, but there will be consequences. I felt bad for Dr. Holt because he's everyone's top suspect, because I think he's the baby, even though he's not old enough. So it's kind of one of those things where the audience knows he's not the baby, but the characters don't. Dr. Cassidy Cascade gives Nurse Ingrid Hoffel her own Green Meanie costume. And even though there are now 3 Green Meanies running around the hospital, because there is one that Dr. Cascade and Nurse Hoffel don't know the identity of, Nurse Hoffel says it works for her. So we now know who 2 of the Green Meanies are, but we have to find out who the 3rd one is. And since there's one more, obviously this one is supposed to be the big reveal. Thanks for watching, guys! Let me know in the comments what you thought about the episode. And also let me know who you think the 3rd Green Meanie is. Bye!